Ginger Goodwin was a coal miner. He left England for Canada in 1906 and found work in Nova Scotia. He was just 19. His life would go down in BC history. Goodwin came to Cumberland on the east coast of Vancouver Island in 1910. He worked at the Canadian Collieries No. 5 mine. The operations were owned by former BC Premier James Dunsmuir and produced up to 900,000 tons of coal a year. Many of the workers were exploited Chinese and Japanese immigrants. No labor laws ensured workers' rights. In September 1912, Cumberland miner Oscar Modishaw was fired from a Canadian collieries mine for reporting unsafe conditions. Thousands of miners took to protest, refusing to return to work until Modishaw was rehired. The protesters were fired to be replaced by scab labor imported from the United States and out east. The protests grew into a full-scale strike, spreading to mines down past Nanaimo. Union recognition was demanded. Goodwin became involved, joining the Miners' Union and the Socialist Party of Canada. He found a friend and mentor in Union President Joe Naylor. Dunsmuir's position was unambiguous. To hell with the Union, to hell with the committee, to hell with the men. Goodwin began writing for newspapers in support of the strike. He found he was good at it.
This is no sentimental movement. The masters can howl. Do not hide our intentions, for we are what they have made us, the dispossessed class that is out to overthrow them. And so I say we've got to back our forces against them, and our weapons are education, organization, and agitation.
After 23 months of striking, the miners finally returned to work. But not before a deadly riot in the management town of Ladysmith and a dispatch of military police to extinguish strike activity. No union was recognized. August 1914, Canada joined the Allies on the Western Front. Goodwin, now 30, was assessed Category D, unfit for service. In the fallout of the Cumberland strike, he found himself drifting through BC's interior. He came to Trail in the West Kootenays to work at the smelter. By 1914, it had become a major processor of materials needed in artillery production. In 1915, Goodwin became secretary of the Trail Smeltermen's Union. He continued his writing, openly opposing the war effort.
The masters' interests were endangered through competition with each other, and they called upon their slaves to fight it out. while the manufacturers of armaments wax fat at the large profits derived from sale of the engines of destruction. Our efforts must be bent to the cause of our enslavement, capitalism. And in that case, it precludes the workers from taking action in national wars that do of necessity undermine the international character of the proletariat. The ruling class will reap the victory, no matter how the war ends. It will be the law of concentrating capital into fewer hands, creating a smaller but more powerful master class than before.
In 1916, Goodwin's union organized total shutdown of the trail smelter by strike. "11 days later, Goodwin was reassessed, fit for fighting. Goodwin was ordered to report to Victoria for duty. His appeal for exemption was rejected. He fled for Cumberland. Federal Inspector William Devitt was sent to find Goodwin after his failure to show Victoria. Goodwin had gone into hiding with a small party of fellow draft evaders. They squatted in a cabin on the south side of Mount Hennessy. Devitt recruited 5 others to find Goodwin, including ex-policeman Dan Campbell. Campbell had the reputation of a dirty cop and was dismissed on corruption charges in 1905. They began their search in Cumberland, where an anonymous tip gave up Goodwin's location. Devitt's posse was set off from Comox Lake for the mountains, July 26, 1918. The next day, Goodwin's party was found. Campbell came upon Goodwin alone and shot him through the neck with a hunting rifle. Campbell was tried for manslaughter and declared not guilty. He claimed self-defense, though no firearm of Goodwin's was produced. Many miners took off work in memoriam.
It has been evident during the coal strike that this sentiment of justice is nothing but a sham. For those that have been brought up before the court as strikers are given the maximum penalty, while those that help the masters are let off with the minimum, showing conclusively the courts are at the disposal of the master class.
A large public funeral service was held by Joe Naylor. In 1937, the UMWA finally won its recognition with Canadian collieries. This included a clause against discrimination of workers based on union membership.